Chapter 11 Join. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Minato Namikaze was a man of action. He immediately drafted a transfer order as the commander and dispatched ninjas to deliver it. Uchiha received the notice and hurried over. After getting permission, he entered the tent, bowing slightly and saying, "Lord Minato. Relax, no need to be so formal." Easy for you to say, Gen thought. I'm aware of the situation. Starting today, you'll be temporarily assigned to Squad 7, reporting directly to me. If I, Kakashi, and Lin approve, I'll officially accept you as a disciple. Do your best. With Minato's current reputation, strength, accomplishments, and status, he had every right to say that. Countless Konoha ninjas dreamed of becoming his disciples. I will, sir. Gen's face flushed, and his eyes sparkled with excitement. In reality, Gen wasn't quite as thrilled as he appeared. Getting close to Minato would be great, but he had other options if it didn't pan out. The main reason he was trying to latch on was to improve his skills as quickly as possible. If it didn't work out, so be it. His progress would just be a little slower. He was convinced that even if he couldn't change the inevitable, he would at least have the power to protect himself when the Uchiha clan massacre happened. Go and get to know Kakashi and Lin. You'll be teammates for a while, and maybe for life. Yes, Lord Minato. Minato then lowered his head and began working on official documents. The others took this as their cue to leave. The group exited the camp and walked to a nearby stream. The water was crystal clear and shimmering, with small, silver fish darting around. The surrounding forest was lush, filled with birdsong and fragrant flowers. Let's introduce ourselves. As captain, I'll go first. Rin Noara and Gen Uchiha were both Chunin. Kakashi had been promoted to Jonin and was therefore the natural leader. My name is Hitaki Kakashi. I'm 12 years old. My favorite foods are salt-grilled mackerel and eggplant with miso. I dislike tempura. My hobby is reading, and my dream is to protect my friends. I specialize in swordsmanship and lightning-release ninjutsu. Kakashi turned to Rin. Rin smiled warmly, put her hands behind her back, swayed slightly, and said gently, "My name is Noara Rin. I'm 12 years old. My favorite food is strawberries, and I don't like seafood stews. I enjoy collecting seashells. My dream is to help every injured Konoha ninja I come across. I specialize in medical ninjutsu." Then, they both looked at Gen Uchiha. Gen didn't hesitate. He smiled slightly and said, "My name is Gen Uchiha. I'm 13 years old. I don't have any particular favorite foods, and nothing I truly hate. I have many interests, including studying ninjutsu, cooking, music, reading, traveling, and more. If I have a dream, it's to live freely. I excel at genjutsu and fire release techniques. Live freely. Although I'm quite selfish, it is a difficult dream." Kakashi sighed. How easy was it for a ninja to be truly free? Root ninjas lost their sense of self entirely. Other ninjas had it slightly better, but they spent most of their time on missions and rarely had free time. It was an almost impossible dream. Being free isn't just about doing whatever you want, right? Gen looked intently at Rin when he heard her question. Was she trying to gauge his true nature? If he said yes, he might never gain the approval of Rin, Kakashi, or Minato. That kind of thinking was too dangerous. While their approval wasn't essential, it was still beneficial to try and get it for his plans. No, it's not. Freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you want. It means when you don't want to do something, you don't have to, and nobody can force you to. That makes sense. I agree with your dream. Me too, Rin and Kakashi chimed in. Your dreams are not simple, each is more challenging than the last. Our dreams aren't the hardest. Obito's dream is the most difficult. He wants to become Hokage. Rin's right, Obito's dream is the toughest. Obito. I don't know him well, but I've heard of him. We're distant cousins. I'm about 2 weeks older than him, so he has to call me cousin. Two of our ancestors were brothers a generation back. Kakashi and Rin looked surprised. Suddenly, they looked at Gen with greater warmth and friendliness, not that Gen was lying. He and Obito were indeed distant relatives on the Uchiha family tree. Of course, for the corrupted Obito, that relationship meant nothing. He had tricked Minato and Kushina to their deaths. Minato had the excuse that even with his unparalleled speed, he was always a step too late, but that was a pretty weak excuse. Minato wasn't their babysitter or parent. He was constantly performing missions and was extremely busy. He couldn't be there for them all the time. The three of them were already qualified genin, graduates of the Ninja Academy, and had risen to the rank of Chunin. They were perfectly capable of carrying out independent missions. Kushina had shown anything but love for Obito. She had extracted 9 tails from Kushina during her pregnancy. During the process of extracting the 9 tails, Kushina's whole body was in pain like an evil spirit. Her face was hideous, unrecognizable, and very terrifying. He also put detonating symbols on the children of his master and his wife, co-authored because an infinite Tsukimi, the master, and wife's family can be resurrected and they can do whatever they want with peace of mind. Who is the scariest person? People who are doing crazy bad things but think they are saving the world. Such people do not feel guilty, have no conscience, have their own logic, and are extremely destructive. Minato, Kushina has such a disciple. It's really bad luck for 8 lifetimes. Being a master in the ninja world is definitely a high-risk profession. If it weren't for the value of the two getting closer, especially Kakashi, who not only has extraordinary abilities, but also has the legacy of Konoha's White Fang. The White Fang of Konoha is the one who can overpower the Sannin of Konoha. If nothing unexpected happens, the next generation of Hokage will have an astonishing influence. In the middle of the original work, Minato and his wife passed away, and Kakashi still carries the legacy of the 4th Hokage, so he is full of buffs. Whoever can get Kakashi's support can indirectly get the support of a large number of people. As an ambitious man, he would naturally not let go of such a talent if he had the opportunity. With this new connection, the three of them quickly grew closer. Their conversation deepened, and they got along harmoniously, while it wasn't quite the same as the bond of the original Squad 7, they could still be considered friends, even if they didn't remain in the same squad. Don't hoard resources, it's easy to die. Chapter 12 Show off your skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the 3rd day, right around 3 p.m., the rock ninjas lost their patience. They couldn't wait any longer for the Leaf's attack and, worried about dwindling supplies, launched a full-scale offensive. Over 800 rock ninjas surged down the mountain, heading northwest toward their home village. Minato Namikaze, seeing the Leaf ninjas and traps in the northwest were slowing down the enemy's escape, ordered the Jonin to provide immediate support, while the Chunin and Genin finished the encirclement. Since he didn't know exactly where the rock ninjas would strike, Minato decided to hold his ground and react accordingly. After all, the mountain wasn't that big, and ninjas could move fast. With that, Minato used his Flying Thunder God technique to instantly appear in the northwest, making a dramatic entrance in front of his Konoha comrades. Team 7, directly under Minato's command and led by Kakashi, was among the first to respond, despite having 2 Chunin on the team. They were a bit slower because Rin Noara, as a medical ninja, wasn't as fast, and the fighting was already intense when they arrived. Whether the rock ninjas intended to fight to the death or break through, they needed to succeed before the Leaf's main force arrived. The battlefield was a chaotic mess of kunai, shuriken, explosive tags, and all sorts of ninjutsu. Roars, explosions, and screams filled the air. Life was cheap. No matter how strong or careful you were, death was always a possibility. In the thick of it, a yellow flash darted around. Each flash of his kunai meant another life taken. Many rock ninjas didn't even know what hit them before they blacked out. His fighting style was a spectacle, but the rock ninjas could only try to be careful and endure. At the edge of the battlefield, Kakashi yelled, "Triangle formation. Gen, protect Rin." "Got it," Gen Uchiha replied. "Watch yourselves. I'm a medical ninja, but a genin isn't a threat to me," Rin added. "I know. I never underestimate you, Rin." Seeing the two Tomo Sharingan in Gen's eyes, Rin was momentarily taken aback, as if she saw Obito there with them. As they spoke, they shifted into formation, Kakashi in front, Gen on the right, and Rin on the relatively safer left. She was such a kind, considerate, and smart girl. It was a crying shame, and Madara Uchiha was to blame. He would see if he could find a way to bring her back later. Obito, who had done so many horrible things, didn't deserve her, didn't deserve to be in the afterlife with her. If she knew what Obito had done, would this girl who was willing to die for Konoha really forgive him? He hoped the interactions between Obito and Rin in the Fourth Ninja War were just Obito's fantasies. If Obito went to the afterlife, but Rin returned to the world, that would be the cruelest punishment for Obito. When he was a kid, he admired Obito a little, but he grew to dislike him more and more. After he came to this world and became an Uchiha, he even hated him. Gen sighed internally, but didn't hesitate to act. He activated his Sharingan, deflecting kunai and shuriken with his ninja sword. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Wind style, great breakthrough. Seeing Gen's familiar hand signs, Kakashi quickly matched his speed and used wind release. The orange-red fireball, initially a few meters wide, expanded to over 10 meters with the help of the wind, turning golden orange and reaching a scorching 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. The three rock genin tried to dodge, but were engulfed by the flames. Screams echoed, but thankfully, their lives weren't long. The flames dissipated, leaving three charred bodies on the ground. The brutal scene didn't stop them. This kind of thing was common. As they moved deeper into the battlefield, they faced more enemies, but mostly genin, which wasn't too challenging for Team 7. Even Rin, the weakest, could take down a genin team if she wasn't careless. Their performance started attracting attention, and some rock ninjas decided to take out Konoha's prodigies. A rock special Jonin and two rock Chunin charged towards them, forming hand signs. Reaching a certain distance, they stopped and became turrets. Earth style, rock bullet barrage. They spat out pebbles that grew to the size of washbasins mid-air. Flying at high speeds, they were dangerous. Earth style, earth wall. Reacting instantly, Kakashi slammed his hands on the ground, creating a thick, semicircular wall. Dull thuds echoed as the pebbles struck the wall, cracking it and showering soil, but the wall held, blocking the combined attack. Protect Rin. Kakashi drew his spare short sword and charged, fearless and fierce as a hungry wolf. The three rock ninjas drew their kunai and rushed to meet him. In a flash, they were locked in a fierce melee. Kakashi wasn't as strong as the fully grown adults, but his white fang sword skills and Sharingan vision allowed him to hold his own against the three. Rin, watch out for genjutsu. Gen warned in a low voice, forming hand signs. Nirvana Temple Technique. Phantom-like feathers rained down. Gen deliberately focused the jutsu, making the illusion more potent. The feathers appeared in front of the rock ninjas and Kakashi. Under the unseen force, their eyelids grew heavy, as if weighed down. The two Chunin were the first to fall. The special Jonin resisted for a second longer, then collapsed. It's genjutsu. Horrified, Kakashi disrupted his chakra and broke free. He was stunned by what he saw. It wasn't their illusion. Gen, I didn't know your genjutsu was so powerful. Kakashi almost fell for it. Rin exclaimed, amazed. Rin had been using medical ninjutsu to disrupt her chakra and was unaffected. It is powerful. Was that an A-rank illusion, the Nirvana Temple technique? As expected of Kakashi, you know your stuff. It is the Nirvana Temple technique. Kakashi was speechless. Was it normal for a Chunin to use A-rank genjutsu? And one that could affect him, a Jonin with the Sharingan. But you're still far behind Kakashi. You created your own A-rank ninjutsu, after all. Right, he had created his own A-rank ninjutsu. Okay, then, but something felt off. Wait, wouldn't these Chunin-level rock ninjas break out of the genjutsu? Was he being serious? Wow, what a terrifying illusion. Rin, use your medical ninjutsu to cut their tendons and hamstrings so they can't commit suicide. Gen said, seeing Kakashi stunned. Living rock ninjas were usually worth more. Got it. Rin quickly cut their tendons and hamstrings, even removing their jaws to prevent them from hurting themselves. Having dealt with the enemy, the three didn't rush to the center of the battlefield, instead fighting the rock ninjas nearby. Without the flying thunder god, it was best to avoid the center of the fight. Even ants could kill an elephant. Chapter 13 Turning Point. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With their combined strength, and as long as they weren't reckless, the trio could handle the IWA ninja. While the average middle-level genin wasn't exactly top tier, they weren't in any real danger. Under Minato Namake's command, Konoha's senior ninjas and those from the northwest were holding off the main IWA assault. Once reinforcements arrived from other directions, the IWA forces would be history. A complete rout was inevitable. However, the IWA ninja were incredibly stubborn. Even staring death in the face, few were willing to surrender. Loyalty to Iwagakure was one thing, the limited benefits of surrender were another. Giving up meant their families back home would face humiliation and shame. After about 2 hours of fighting, around 5 p.m., the Konoha forces finally crushed the IWA ninja, except for a handful who surrendered and were taken prisoner. The battlefield was a gruesome scene of corpses from both sides, numbering over 1,300. The landscape was devastated, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and blood, and carrion birds circled overhead, creating an atmosphere of utter despair. The IWA ninjas' relentless resistance and suicidal courage had also taken a heavy toll on Konoha. With over 500 genin lost, Iwa's genin weren't particularly skilled, and frankly, Konoha's weren't much better. They were all products of a rushed ninja school curriculum, not nearly as well trained as genin in peacetime. Konoha's truly elite genin had suffered minimal losses throughout the war. By this point in the Third Ninja War, most of Konoha's surviving genin had already been promoted to chunin, and some had even become special jounin. These were the cream of the crop, but unfortunately, they were few and far between. The battle was won, but the Konoha ninjas weren't celebrating. They silently began the grim task of disposing of the bodies and cleaning up the battlefield. The loss of comrades was part of it, but more than that, years of war had desensitized many of the ninjas. Even victory didn't bring much joy anymore. Maybe only the end of the war would bring real happiness to the Konoha ninjas. Sure, there were still risks in peacetime missions, but nothing like the horrors of the battlefield. After clearing the battlefield, everyone dragged their weary bodies back to camp. Those who had duties continued their work, and those who could rest tried to get some sleep. Unfortunately for Gen Uchiha, he was among those who had to keep working. As part of Team 7, directly under Minato, he knew Minato wasn't one to slack off, so extra work was inevitable. 2 days later, Minato received orders from the third Hokage to take the remaining forces to the Land of Grass, the main battleground between Konoha and Iwagakure. Meanwhile, far away in the Tsuchikage building in Iwagakure village, Inoki received the news that the Iwagakure troops that had penetrated deep into the Land of Fire had been completely wiped out, even though Inoki had anticipated this when he learned about the destruction of Kanabi Bridge. Hearing the confirmation still left him slumped in his chair, utterly defeated. Inoki couldn't understand why Konoha produced so many talented individuals every generation. Every time there was a crisis, someone always rose to the occasion and turned the tide. During the Warring States period, it was Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha who dominated the scene. During the First Great Ninja War, the second Hokage threw himself into the fray. Though he ultimately fell in battle, Hiruzen Sarutobi and others stepped up to stabilize Konoha's position. The Second Ninja War saw the emergence of Konoha White Fang and the Sannin. Overall, Konoha didn't suffer too badly. Now, in the Third Ninja War, along comes Minato Namake's. It was infuriating. This was how the major ninja villages came to be. For the first time, the 4 major villages had invaded the Land of Fire's territory. They had pushed Konoha to the brink, but they still failed. If they missed this opportunity, who knew when another one would present itself? Was Konoha simply destined to win? No, absolutely not. Inoki banished the thought from his mind. If he lost faith, Iwagakure would always be overshadowed by Konoha. He refused to believe Konoha always had such good luck. He would wait and see. Tell the elders I need a meeting. Yes, Lord Tsuchikage. 15 minutes later, the elders gathered with Inoki in the main conference room. The atmosphere was somber, and everyone's faces were grim. First, I want to take responsibility for our failure. Iwagakure lost this gamble. It's mainly my fault. Inoki levitated forward and bowed deeply. No, this was a collective decision. You're not to blame, Tsuchikage-sama. We all share the responsibility. Inoki's most trusted confidant, an elder, spoke up quickly. Other loyal elders chimed in, offering support and diffusing the blame. After all, collective responsibility meant no one was really responsible. The remaining elders didn't object. First, it was a unanimous decision, and second, they couldn't challenge Inoki's authority, so, they remained silent. The battle failed, and the situation in the land of grass is dire. Although I hate to admit it, Iwagakure has lost its chance to defeat Konoha. Therefore, I plan to send an envoy to negotiate peace with Konoha and end the war temporarily. Lord Tsuchikage, shouldn't we hold on a bit longer? What if Konoha is struggling on other fronts? Inoki gave the elder who spoke a strange look. Don't drag your feet. Make a decision now. Going all in with half measures is pointless. Dragging things out will only weaken our forces. Besides, wouldn't it be smart to preserve our strength through peace talks? Oh. The elders suddenly realized that the Tsuchikage planned to break the treaty if an opportunity presented itself. As expected of Tsuchikage-sama. I'm out of my depth. No wonder I'm just an elder and he's the Tsuchikage. My perspective was too limited. Lord Tsuchikage is right. What about Sunagakure village, Lord Tsuchikage? We agreed to fight together when the war began. Inoki looked exasperated. That was just a verbal agreement. Do you really think that counts for anything? If it did, would we still need to guard our border with Sunagakure? A weak Sunagakure is a good Sunagakure. So, the peace talks should be conducted discreetly. Agree to Konoha's demands as long as we don't get screwed over. Konoha is under a lot of pressure and shouldn't make unreasonable requests. We want the peace talks to wrap up quickly, so Konoha can team up with the Land of Rain and weaken Sunagakure for us. That way, even if Konoha doesn't show any weaknesses and the Third Ninja War really ends, we'll still have something to gain. It won't all be for nothing. Honestly, these elders aren't that bright. I have to spell everything out for them. Sunagakure's weakness is good for both Iwagakure and Konoha. The amount of work in the ninja world is finite, whether they didn't realize it or had already figured it out. The Iwagakure elders feigned sudden enlightenment, giving Inoki a sense of accomplishment. Therefore, before Minato Namikaze could reinforce the Land of Grass battlefield and before he could even begin an offensive, Iwagakure's envoy secretly entered Konoha's military camp. News of Iwagakure's offer of peace talks quickly reached Hiruzen Sarutobi. Hiruzen had no desire to continue fighting Iwagakure. He sensed that peace talks with Iwagakure would be a turning point in the Ninja World War. If Iwagakure pulled back, even if he just sat back and watched, Konoha could easily defeat Sunagakure, and Iwagakure wouldn't dare to make any rash moves. With Iwagakure and Sunagakure out of the picture, Konoha would only have to deal with Kumogakure and Kirigakure. They could focus their efforts on Kumogakure first, force them to negotiate, and then take care of Kirigakure. That would end the Ninja World War, and Konoha could finally recover. Therefore, the peace negotiation conditions set by Hiruzen Sarutobi were very lenient. The main goal was to ensure no one suffered too much. Jiraiya and Minato Namikaze were responsible for the negotiations on the front lines. The Iwagakure envoy had also received instructions from their superiors. Both sides knew what to do, and the peace talks proceeded quickly. After reaching an agreement, Iwagakure kept its promise and withdrew most of its forces from the Land of Grass, leaving only a small number of ninjas behind. Seeing Iwagakure keeping its word, and before Sunagakure could react, Konoha left a minimal force behind and mobilized its main army to strike Sunagakure's frontline base camp on the border of the Land of Rain and the Land of Rivers. Chapter 14, Doing Extraordinary Things in Extraordinary Times. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sunagakure used to be a powerhouse, second only to Konoha in strength when the village was founded, securing its place as the second strongest of the 5 great ninja villages. Otherwise, they would have acquired more than just one tailed beast. Every other village except Konoha had 2, even though tailed beasts cost a fortune. Tsunagakure would have bought a second one if their military strength had been insufficient. The seven-tailed Jinchuriki would not belong to Takigakure village, but after enduring the First and Second World Wars, the internal strife caused by the Third Kazekage's disappearance, and the Third War's prolonged strain, Tsunagakure's strength declined sharply. They couldn't even hold their ground against Tsunade's Konoha troops, let alone withstand a two-pronged Konoha assault, especially after being ambushed. The result was a complete defeat. Tsunagakure's leaders, Xiao and Ebizo, were forced to sue for peace, gritting their teeth as they signed a humiliating treaty. The worst part was handing over 30% of their mission revenue to Konoha. This severely impacted Tsunagakure's finances. Seeing Tsunagakure's defeat in the Ninja World War, the Land of Wind's daimyo couldn't resist cutting their funding even further. To add insult to injury, Tsunagakure doubled down on an elite policy, which made their strength plummet to the bottom of the 5 major ninja villages. Tsunagakure hated Konoha, but they hated Iwagakure even more. Xiao, Ebizo, and the other village elders weren't fools. Of course they suspected Anoki's scheme, but it was too late. The deal was done. What could Tsunagakure possibly do to Iwagakure? They had to eat crow. On top of everything, someone had to take the blame for Tsunagakure's debacle. After the 4th Kazekage took office, Xiao and Ebizo resigned as elders. Though they didn't become complete hermits like in the original storyline, they went into semi-retirement. Within 2 weeks, Iwagakure and Tsunagakure withdrew from the Third Ninja World War, changing the landscape so rapidly it was dizzying. Meanwhile, in the water country, inside Kirigakure's Mizukage building, Yagura, with green hair, purple eyes, and a scar like a stitch under his left eye, sat at his desk, reviewing the latest reports on the ninja world. Iwagakure and Tsunagakure are such losers. Yagura slammed the document on the desk in anger, his face dark. With Iwagakure and Tsunagakure out, only Kumogakure and Kirigakure were left to besiege Konoha from the north and south. The two battlefronts would now face reinforcements, decreasing their chances of victory. If they lost, they'd be forced to give back the territory they had taken in the Land of Fire, and the Land of Whirlpools would likely revert to its previous split state. The Land of Whirlpools was strategically crucial. Konoha could use it as a base to attack Kirigakure, and vice versa. Neither side could let the other monopolize it, and the other ninja villages didn't want to see one control it either. It was unbearable to fall short after coming this far. Lord Mizukage, I have important information here. A Kirigakure ninja wearing a mask and umbu uniform approached the desk, respectfully presenting a scroll. Yagura took it, unrolled it, and exclaimed with surprise, "We found the 3 tails. This is good news. Well done. Mizukage-sama, the situation in the ninja world has changed dramatically. I believe we must take drastic measures. The 7 ninja swordsmen have suffered heavy losses, and the leaders of the major bloodline clans have been blocked by Konoha's bloodline clan heads. Kirigakure hasn't gained much on the front lines. If we wait for Konoha's reinforcements, our chances of winning will be slim." Yagura steepled his fingers under his chin. "You're right. What kind of drastic measures are you proposing?" "Lord Mizukage, I suggest we seal the 3 tails first, then find a way to seal it into a Konoha ninja. We could control the Konoha ninja and send them back to the village, then break the seal and unleash the 3 tails to cause chaos in Konoha. If Konoha suffers a major blow, it would create an opportunity for Kirigakure, Kumogakure, and even Iwagakure and Tsunagakure might rejoin the fight. Konoha could be destroyed. The 4 major ninja villages could divide the Land of Fire, giving Kirigakure the lion's share. And even if Konoha isn't destroyed, we can maintain our current gains." Yagura was intrigued. This could shift the battlefield and stir up the ninja world. "Hirotada, why haven't you come up with something this good? If this works, you'll be the head of the ANBU. I'm just trying to live up to your expectations, Mizukage-sama. I would die for you." The ANBU captain, Hirotada, knelt. "Alright, that's settled. Do it ASAP. I'll step in if necessary." "Yes." Under his mask, where Yagura couldn't see, a pair of scarlet Sharingan flashed. Near the Land of Fire's border in the Land of Rain, a giant tent stood in the center of the Kumogakure army camp. The sound of something breaking was heard, followed by an angry voice. Iwagakure and Sunagakure are utterly useless. Oh yeah, stupid brother, you broke another table. Can you learn to be calm like me, Booyah? There was a thud as a figure flew out of the tent, skidding along the ground for 30 feet, leaving a trail. The dark-skinned man with light yellow hair, black sunglasses, a muscular build, and 2 swords on his back was the 8-tailed Jinchuriki, Killer Bee. He got up, nonchalantly dusted himself off, and walked back into the tent. Inside stood a similar man with dark skin, light yellow hair, a stronger build, a white cloak, a green shuriken tattoo on his shoulder, a wide belt, and thick armor, the future 4th Raikage, A. Brother, what's Yunin's next move? Killer Bee dropped his usual cynical act and spoke seriously. Another raid, A said firmly. Another raid? Last time, we got to Konoha's gates, but we failed. It won't be that easy again, right? Brother, Konoha's sensor ninjas aren't useless, and Konoha must be prepared, Killer Bee warned. I know, but this time is different. This time, I'm sending out 2 forces. The main force will draw Konoha's attention, while my brother and the sensor ninja will carry out the real raid. If you can sneak into Konoha, transform into the 8 tails and give the Hokage a tailed beast bomb. If you can't get near Konoha, circle around and blast Konoha's frontline camp. Hey, brother, isn't that a little harsh? If Konoha gets angry and sends the 9-tailed Jinchuriki on a rampage, Hachi, and Yujito won't be able to handle it. Killer Bee thought this plan was too extreme. It doesn't matter. If you can't handle it, I and countless Kyomogakure ninjas will be there. Is it possible that 1 9-tails can overthrow Kyomogakure? Besides, the 9-tailed Jinchuriki is different from you. I doubt Sarutobi Hiruzen would risk the 9-tails losing control or even losing the 9-tails altogether. We must take risks. If we wait for Konoha's reinforcements, defeating them becomes nearly impossible. Orochimaru's tough to deal with. It took years to find an opening. Brother, what if I fail? If you fail, withdraw your troops, but not all of them. Leave a force of 1,000 to harass Konoha constantly, delay their recovery, and provide training for the village. Among the 5 great ninja villages, Kyomogakure suffered relatively light losses in the 3rd Ninja War, thanks to the 3rd Raikage. Okay, I'll do what you say. Chapter 15 Xiao In Bai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the Huiyu River, where the borders of the 3 kingdoms met, a small valley thick with bushes near the Konoha frontlines was the scene of a brutal taijutsu battle. A brown-haired girl watched nearby, a knot of worry tightening her expression. Suddenly, a figure materialized beside her. Yellow hair, blue eyes, clad in a blue jumpsuit and a Konoha green vest, he possessed a handsome face and an easygoing, sunny charm. Ah, sensei, you're here. Noera Lin visibly relaxed, her face lighting up. Minato Namikaze gave a slight nod, watching the 2 fighters with a smile. Gen's taijutsu is improving fast. He can actually hold his own against Kakashi now. Yeah, he's come a long way. Gen's a natural, just like Kakashi. As she spoke, Gen Uchiha and Kakashi broke off their sparring and approached them. Lately, Gen Uchiha had been laser-focused on his taijutsu, throwing himself into hand-to-hand combat as much as possible on the battlefield, and sparring with Kakashi whenever he could. Compared to ninjutsu and genjutsu, taijutsu was Uchiha Gen's weak point. Of course, with the Sharingan, his taijutsu was still pretty formidable for his level. Sensei. Minato-senpai. It was Minato Namikaze's personal request. Gen Uchiha could just call him senpai instead of lord. We've got a mission. Pack your gear and let's move out. Sensei, what kind of mission? Lord Hokage has issued an order. I need to lead a team to intercept Kyomogakure forces that have invaded the Land of Fire. What? Kyomogakure's invading again? It's inevitable. Our forces on the Kyomogakure front are stretched thin. Even with Lord Orochimaru's brilliance as a strategist, he can't be everywhere at once. Konoha's intelligence network was extensive, divided into a light and dark system, with a half system. There was the Intelligence Division, the Root Organization, and the ANBU. Even though the future Fourth Reikage, A, and his forces were being careful, Konoha's intelligence operatives had still managed to glean information. "Sensei, are we coming with you?" "No. This time, Kimogakure has split into two teams, a main force and a diversion. I'll be leading a squad to stop the diversionary team led by the Third Reikage Sun. You guys will join the Rapid Response Unit to take on the main force." "Understood, Sensei. Be careful." Minato Namikaze smiled at the three of them. "You guys be careful, too. Don't get reckless and try to be heroes. I'm heading out." With that, Minato Namikaze vanished in a burst of speed. It wasn't just a regular teleportation jutsu, it was a spacetime ninjutsu. It's worth noting that with the Flying Thunder God technique, the longer the jump, the more chakra it consumed. This Minato wasn't the resurrected version from the Fourth War with half of the Nine Tails sealed inside him, so he couldn't just spam the Flying Thunder God technique. "Let's go." Uchiha Gen and Noera Rin nodded. The three figures darted off, leaping across the hills with incredible speed. In a flash, they were three small black dots in the distance. The three returned to the camp, quickly packed their gear, and set off with the Rapid Response Unit. The Rapid Response Team consisted of 70 shinobi, a mix of Chunin, Special Jonin, and Jonin. The chosen Chunin were all known for their speed and agility. The squad was led by the Inoshikacho trio. The group sped through the dense forest. To the average eye, they were just blurs flashing by. When fatigue set in or chakra levels dipped, they popped a soldier pill to replenish their energy. After a full day and night of travel, they finally arrived in the northeast, coming from the west of the Land of Fire. After setting up traps facing the Kimogakure ninjas' direction, everyone took the time to rest and recover their chakra. Apparently, Konoha had a mole among the Kimogakure forces. During the break, the sensor types detected something, and the barrier ninjas laid down a perception jamming barrier. Sensor ninjas, sealing ninjas, and medical ninjas were treasures in every ninja village. The sensing ninja and the sealed ninja are half as precious as the medical ninja. Other ninjas will not let these two types of ninjas get involved in the fight unless they have to. After about an hour, the sensor ninja, who was hiding to disrupt the enemy's perception without disrupting his own, sent an alert, and the Konoha ninjas immediately braced themselves for battle. Snap. The Kimogakure ninja at the front tripped a hair-thin wire, triggering a chain reaction. A hail of shuriken and kunai, rigged with explosive tags, went flying. Clang, 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 boom, 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 aya. The sounds of metal on metal, explosions, and screams filled the air. The front of the Kimogakure assault force was decimated. Bodies tumbled from the trees, and the few survivors were injured. "Konoha's on to us. Fall back." The Kimogakure Jonin in command made a snap decision. The Kimogakure ninjas immediately began to retreat. The Konoha forces weren't about to let them escape so easily and charged out of hiding, forcing the Kimogakure ninjas into a fight. Taking advantage of the chaos, a Kimogakure ninja with a green ribbon tied to his right arm slipped away from the battlefield, unmolested by the Konoha forces. Once a spy completes their mission, they naturally have to leave. Returning to Kimogakure would be a death sentence, and Kimogakure's ANBU were no pushovers. Kill. 3 Kimogakure ninjas, ninja swords drawn, charged at Team 7. They were fast and agile, dodging the shuriken thrown by Team 7 with ease. Their momentum seemed unstoppable, a testament to their elite status. Kakashi and Gen Uchiha immediately met them head-on, engaging them in battle. The ninjas of Kimogakure village were skilled in swordsmanship and lightning release, but in hand-to-hand combat, they were no match for Kakashi and Uchiha. General 3 against 2, they were at a disadvantage. The three Kimogakure ninjas exchanged a look. One of them broke away from the group and charged toward Noera Rin, who was holding a kunai, ready for action. Gen Uchiha threw 3 shuriken. The Kimogakure ninja calmly deflected the shuriken with his sword and continued to charge forward. However, the shuriken curved and came back around. The Kimogakure ninja was startled but didn't panic. He slashed and dodged, taking only a small cut on his waist that didn't seem to affect his fighting ability. Just then, Noara Rin, seeing her chance, threw 2 kunai. The Kumogakure ninja was horrified and twisted his body to avoid a fatal hit. He succeeded, but the poison coating the kunai spread through his bloodstream, and he collapsed to the ground, his face turning black within seconds. As a medical ninja, Noara Rin knew how to use poison, but she had never actually done it before, so the devious Uchiha made suggestions: Genjutsu, Sharingan. Gen Uchiha's eyes transformed into the Sharingan with the Magatama swirling, and he locked eyes with the 2 remaining Kumogakure ninjas. Unlike the native Uchiha clan, who valued family honor more than life itself, Gen Uchiha was a pragmatist. Not only was the Uchiha clan emblem intentionally removed, but the Sharingan was not revealed in the early stages of the battle. This underhanded Sharingan technique would determine victory, defeat, and life and death. The 2 Kumogakure ninjas froze. Gen Uchiha and Kakashi seized the opportunity to strike. The 4 figures dashed past one another, blood mist spraying from their necks, and 2 corpses hit the ground. Kakashi twitched his lips while leaning against a tree trunk. Even though he had seen it before, he still thought it was really insidious. It's so dark that even Uchiha's pride has dropped. It's scary. Kakashi, how about I carry this time? That the 2 had been together for over a month. Kakashi had often heard strange words from Gen Uchiha, and now he had learned a lot of new knowledge. Okay, I'll be the sub-carry, and Lin will be the support, Kakashi replied calmly. Agreed, Noara Lin said with a smile, raising her right hand. Chapter 16 Outstanding Military Contributions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gen Uchiha dropped from the tree, retrieving the shuriken he'd thrown and sliding them back into his ninja pouch. Kakashi and Rin Noara had seen this before, but they still couldn't help but think how frugal he was, unlike your typical rich kid genius. Gen's explanation. The Uchiha's unique shuriken throwing technique was a waste of good skills if the weapons weren't recovered. Hey, even a little bit helps. Let's move out. Gen took off, Kakashi and Rin right behind him, forming a triangle formation. It wasn't long before they ran into 2 Cloud Village ninja. The Cloud ninja spotted them and attacked immediately. Thunder style, Razor, that the 2 Cloud ninja weaved hand signs and unleashed their ninjutsu. Blue and white lightning crackled around their hands as they launched 4 bolts of electricity. Fire style, Phoenix Sage fire technique. Gen fired back, spitting out balls of golden-orange flame. The blazing fire collided with the lightning, creating a series of explosions and sending out shockwaves. Kakashi and Rin jumped back, raining shuriken and kunai down on the Cloud ninja. The Cloud ninja were covered in blue-white lightning chakra, boosting their speed. They dodged the kunai and shuriken while enduring the shockwaves. The thunder release armor wasn't some super secret technique, just a B-rank jutsu. Plenty of ninja in Cloud Village knew it, but, like the 8 inner gates, it was easy to learn but tough to master. You needed serious talent to take it to the level of the 3rd and 4th Raikage. In Cloud Village, the 4th Raikage's family had the build best suited for the thunder release armor. The 3rd Raikage had practically perfected the thunder armor. He could single-handedly hold off an army, fight a tailed beast until it was exhausted. The guy was a beast. The 4th Raikage was faster, but not as strong overall as the 3rd. The 8 inner gates had a bigger burst of power and a higher ceiling, but for sheer, long-lasting defense, it couldn't match the thunder armor. What's the most important thing for a guy? Stamina. Back in his past life, Gen had always wanted the 3rd Raikage's physique. With that kind of body, he could live the high life without breaking a sweat. Seeing the enemy charging, Gen coolly retreated, forming a hand sign. Fire style, fire extinguisher, that he spat out a small burst of fire, which expanded into a wave of golden-orange flame, scorching the ground, igniting the trees, and warping the air. The 2 Cloud ninja dodged the center of the blast, using their thunder armor to push through the edges of the fire, flanking them. Seeing that Kakashi and Rin couldn't see through the flames, Gen focused his chakra. Instantly, Zhu Rong burst from his left arm, the small dragon opening its mouth and adding a stream of fire to Gen's jutsu. The golden-orange flames shifted into pure gold, the temperature shot up hundreds of degrees, and the fire wave expanded, becoming equally powerful on the edges as it was in the center. Aya, that the Cloud Ninja's half-assed thunder armor was no match for the flames. The fire engulfed them, and their screams were sharp and piercing. Zhu Rong returned to his arm, the flames died down, and two charred, smoking corpses dropped from the trees, filling the air with a disgusting smell. At this point, a substitution jutsu was useless. The substitution jutsu wasn't a spacetime ninjutsu, but a distraction technique, tricking the enemy into thinking their attack landed, creating an opening to counter. The substitute technique was a basic ninjutsu taught in the academy. Intermediate and advanced ninja could see through it easily, especially those with the Sharingan or sensory abilities. In higher-level fights, clone techniques were more effective, like the shadow clone or wood clone. Seeing the massive fire, Kakashi and Rin couldn't help but compare it to Obito's fire style. They were close friends, but it had to be said that their fire techniques weren't even in the same league. An ordinary Jonin would struggle to block this level of fire release with a water barrier, unless they had a serious advantage in terrain. Gen smiled, satisfied. Cloud Ninja with this kind of strength were at least special Jonin. Killing two at once wasn't bad. If he could help stop Cloud Village's scheme, the large-scale war would end, leaving only localized skirmishes. He would be promoted to Jonin before the end of the Third Ninja War. It was much harder to get promoted to Jonin during peacetime, and he didn't want to waste the time. Second, he needed to establish his position in the Uchiha clan, not just as a genius, but as a key player, a powerful Jonin. Only then would the Uchiha elders listen to him. This war was all about being a solid player, and most of the spotlight had been stolen by Kakashi. Now it was time to make a splash in front of the Konoha ninja. Kakashi, Rin, let's go, Gen shouted, circling the fire and heading towards the Konoha ninja fighting the Cloud Clang. Just as a Cloud ninja was about to stab a Konoha ninja in the chest, Gen arrived and deflected the attack with his sword. He looked into the Cloud ninja's eyes. The powerful genjutsu instantly scrambled the ninja's mind. Gen stabbed the Cloud ninja through the chest with a backhanded strike. Thanks. The Konoha ninja was stunned, then grateful. No problem, we're all from the same village. Gen moved on to the next fight. Get out of the way. The Konoha ninja quickly cleared the area. Fire style, dragon fire technique. A golden-orange fire dragon head burst from Gen's mouth. The air shimmered with heat. The Cloud ninja were shocked and dodged. But the dragon seemed to have a mind of its own. Guided by Gen's chakra, the Sharingan predicted the Cloud ninja's movements, and it was as if the ninja intentionally ran into the fire. The Cloud ninja was knocked to the ground by the fire dragon. Dirt and flames erupted, burning him to a crisp. Whoa, awesome. The Konoha ninja watched, speechless, as his longtime opponent was wiped out with a single jutsu. Gen killed another ninja and moved on. Kakashi saw Gen being so active and wanted to tell him to slow down. Rin could barely keep up. But he held his tongue. Gen was a genius too. He shouldn't hold him back. He would protect Rin and deal with any enemies from behind. After killing another Cloud ninja, Gen noticed his teammates weren't behind him. He looked back. Kakashi and Rin, a few dozen yards away, nodded in unison. Gen understood, smiled, and went back to helping the others. He mainly used genjutsu, supplemented by fire style, because genjutsu saved more chakra and was more efficient. As long as someone looked into his Sharingan and didn't have teammates to break the illusion, they were dead. Genjutsu like this could only be broken by someone disrupting the flow of chakra. As time went on, Gen Uchiha became the most popular guy on the battlefield. By the time the fighting was over, Gen had killed 10 Cloud ninja, 6 Chunin, 3 special Jounin, and 1 Jounin. He had earned some serious merit. Of the 50-plus Cloud ninja who launched the attack, only a handful escaped, and they still had to deal with the Konoha forces. Meanwhile, Minato Namikaze fought the AB combo like in the original story, forcing them to retreat. Cloud Village's plans were ruined. Chapter 17 Jonin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the battle, Nara Shikaka directed the cleanup, disposing of bodies, treating the wounded, and erasing jutsu remnants. Half an hour later, the work was done. After a 15-minute break, they headed to the rendezvous point to meet Minato Namikaze's group. Once they linked up with Minato, they marched toward the front lines to engage Kumogakure. Konoha's forces weren't aware of Kumogakure's plans or that the war was nearing its end, they were simply reinforcing the front. After traveling for the better part of a day, they reached Konoha's frontline camp late at night. Orochimaru, the commander, met them personally upon their arrival. Orochimaru had long black hair, golden eyes, purple eyeshadow reaching toward his nose, and pale skin. He wore black tights under a green Jonin vest and exuded a confident, calm, imposing, and mysterious aura. Orochimaru, also a Hokage candidate, greeted Minato, a new competitor, with professional neutrality, neither overly friendly nor standoffish. Minato remained his usual gentle and humble self, showing respect for his master and seniors. After the greetings, Orochimaru, Minato, Shikaku, Inoichi Yamanaka, and Choza Akimichi convened in the command tent to strategize. The other Konoha ninja were shown to their quarters to rest. Even as a Jonin, Kakashi wasn't yet privy to frontline strategy discussions, let alone Gen Uchiha, a Chunin. Of course, with Gen's growing list of accomplishments, he wouldn't be a Chunin for much longer. Whether he'd be promoted to Special Jonin or Full Jonin depended on whether Hiruzen Sarutobi intended to hold him back. Gen believed Sarutobi likely wouldn't. First, his achievements spoke for themselves. He fought in the sieges of Iwagakure and Sunagakure. The 7th team took down at least 50 ninja. While most were Genin, there were also 10 Chunin and at least 4 Jonin, possibly even 3 Special Jonin. Add to that his defense against Kumogakure and it would be impossible to deny him a Jonin promotion without embarrassing most Jonin. He wasn't asking to be promoted just because he was Minato's comrade after all. Second, the Nine-Tails attack hadn't happened yet. While relations between the Uchiha and Konoha's leaders weren't perfect, they weren't terrible. Third, the bulk of the Uchiha clan was still fighting in Kirigakure. Konoha's leaders still needed the Uchiha's help. Kirigakure ninja were more effective against the Uchiha, water countered fire, and Kirigakure's jutsu were restrictive against the Sharingan. The Sharingan, unlike the Byakugan, couldn't see through Kirigakure's missed techniques. Under these circumstances, suppressing a rising Uchiha genius by making him a Special Jonin would be a clear affront to the entire clan. Politicians tend to be both careful and decisive. Even if Konoha's top brass wanted to keep the Uchiha down, they wouldn't be so blatant. In the original timeline, when the conflict between the Uchiha and Konoha escalated, the leaders didn't adopt methods of being both responsible and independent. Finally, Minato was going to recommend him. Sarutobi Hiruzen was a person Minato could count on, and Minato was Sarutobi Hiruzen's disciple. How could Hiruzen discredit someone Minato admired? All things considered, a Jonin promotion was practically guaranteed, unless Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly lost his mind. The 4th Raikage acted fast, withdrawing his troops the day after making his decision. Naturally, Konoha wasn't about to stop Kumogakure from leaving. Many ninja were exhausted and tired of the war. They just kept a distance to make sure Kumogakure didn't try anything. Kumogakure retreated from the Land of Fire, leaving 1,000 soldiers at the border between the Land of Tang and the Land of Fire. The army returned directly to the Land of Thunder. While Kumogakure hadn't fully withdrawn, the large-scale war was clearly over, and Konoha's ninja celebrated. Even Orochimaru's normally icy expression softened into a smile. Without war, he'd have more time for experiments. Although wartime made obtaining materials easier, he was always very busy. News of Kumogakure's withdrawal reached Konoha quickly. Sarutobi Hiruzen was overjoyed and decided to reward the ninja for their efforts. He ordered the frontline ninja to be rewarded for their merits, receive compensation, and return to the village in shifts to rest. It was impossible for all of Konoha's frontline ninja to return home at once. Even during peacetime, border troops were stationed to prevent surprise attacks. During peacetime, many ninja rotated to border posts, with others taking over when their time was up. Of course, not all ninja rotated. They had other responsibilities, like those en route, ANBU, the police force, the medical corps, the interrogation unit, the administrative department, and the education department. With the Hokage's approval, the administrative department added Gen Uchiha's promotion paperwork. Promoting a Chunin required the Hokage's approval, let alone a Jonin, a village's high-end combat power and mainstay. While it was easier to become a Jonin during wartime, it was still difficult, and each case needed careful consideration. Sarutobi Hiruzen hesitated when he saw Gen's name, but ultimately agreed. Gen Uchiha, like Kakashi, skipped Special Jonin and jumped straight from Chunin to Jonin at only 13 years old. Kakashi's achievement of becoming a Jonin at age 12 was slightly higher, but Gen's was still a major accomplishment, cementing him as a remarkable prodigy. When the Hokage's order reached the front lines, Konoha's ninja were overjoyed. Gen Uchiha returned to the village with Minato. Orochimaru, Shikaku, and others had to arrange border defenses and would return later. 3 days after returning to Konoha, Gen received his official Jonin promotion, which caused a stir and was met with admiration among the police. From that day, the Uchiha clan started to spread a theory about twin stars. One was Shisui Uchiha, who rose to prominence in Kirigakure, and the other was Gen, who had fought in 4 battles across 3 villages. Both were considered the pride of the Uchiha clan. Kakashi and Rin Noara wanted to celebrate Gen's promotion. Gen was happy to oblige and asked Minato to join. The 4 of them went to Yakiniku-Q for a celebratory meal. While not a high-end restaurant, Yakiniku-Q was good, though not quite a culinary masterpiece, at least for Gen, who had eaten plenty of good food in his previous life. It was just good. He tried Ichiraku ramen and found it good for ramen but not enough to make him addicted. More often than not, Gen preferred to cook at home, which better suited his tastes. After the celebration, they all took a vacation, enjoying a brief period of peace. With Kirigakure still fighting, the war wasn't entirely over, and Minato was still vying for the Hokage position. To increase his chances, he'd need more achievements and fight against Kirigakure. As Minato's team, the 7th team, it was hard to escape war. Just as Gen planned to relax, Fugaku Uchiha invited him over. Chapter 18 Uchiha Itachi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The decision for the next clan leader was final, so turning down the current young leader's invitation was out of the question. Besides, Gen Uchiha had been wanting to chat with Fugaku Uchiha anyway, so he eagerly accepted. The invite was for the afternoon, leaving Gen with the morning free. He headed to Konoha to grab some snacks, browse the shops, and relax in the hot springs. He returned to the Uchiha clan around 2 in the afternoon, bringing a box of sweets as a gift. Fugaku Uchiha's home was centrally located within the clan's territory, a prime spot. It wasn't a fancy mansion, though. Just a slightly larger 2-story wooden house with a bigger yard, not much different from the other Uchiha homes. The Uchiha clan differed from the Hyuga. While the leader held significant power and status, the overall vibe was relatively democratic. The Uchiha also had a main family and branch families, but unlike some clans, the main family didn't heavily oppress the branches. That's because membership in the Uchiha main family and branch families changed constantly. Those who awakened the Sharingan were promoted to the main family. Those who hadn't, regardless of being ninjas or civilians, were considered branch members. Civilians earned a living through various means and were protected by the Uchiha family. Ninjas could join the police force, although as ordinary members. But it was safer than being a regular ninja and offered family protection. Those with Sharingan were eligible for leadership positions within the police force and the clan itself, squad leaders, deputies, captains, elders, and the clan head. If someone was skilled in combat but lacked leadership qualities, they wouldn't become an officer, instead becoming a highly paid enforcer. They'd never have to worry about money. This was the foundation built by the most powerful clan in the ninja world over centuries. Regular ninjas had to grind to make a living by completing missions. Ninjas earned a lot, but they also spent a lot. Saving wasn't an option unless you wanted to die young. Ding dong star. Uchiha Gen rang the doorbell at the courtyard gate. The door quickly opened. A woman with long, straight black hair, dark eyes, a kind face, and a gentle demeanor stood there. "Ma'am," Gen Uchiha said with a slight bow, greeting her politely. "Gen, welcome. Please, call me Mikoto," she said warmly. "Come in." Her gentle tone instantly put people at ease. "Sister Mikoto," Uchiha Gen said without hesitation. Mikoto Uchiha seemed harmless, but Gen didn't underestimate her. She was also a ninja, and a powerful one with the Sharingan. Gen also knew that Mikoto Uchiha was the daughter of Setsuna Uchiha. Setsuna Uchiha was a follower of Madara Uchiha's will, heavily dissatisfied with the second Hokage, Tobarama Senju, and his policies regarding the Uchiha clan. He yearned to reclaim power from the Senju. He incited the Uchiha people to rebel, drawing the attention of the second Hokage, who had him arrested by Anbu and imprisoned. He hadn't been released since. Despite this, Setsuna Uchiha was still seen as a leader of the Hawks within the Uchiha clan, and many Hawk-like members admired him. As Setsuna's daughter, Mikoto Uchiha represented the Uchiha Hawks. Fugaku Uchiha was able to become the next clan leader in no small part due to her support. Uchiha Gen followed Mikoto Uchiha into the yard. After taking off his shoes, he entered the house and saw a child coming down the stairs. "Itachi, we have a guest." "This is Gen. Itachi." Uchiha bowed politely and said obediently, "Hello, Gen. Gen." Uchiha smiled slightly, "Hello." Who would have guessed this polite kid would grow up to massacre his entire clan? Honestly, from where he stood, he didn't like Itachi Uchiha. He was a member of the clan too, and saw no need to just kill Itachi right now. Itachi was still young, his beliefs not yet set in stone. There was still a chance to change things. If he couldn't, he'd have to find a way to eliminate him. Fugaku Uchiha was crazy to take a 3 or 4-year-old to the battlefield. Exposing someone to the most brutal aspects of the world without any buffer was a recipe for disaster. The ninja world forced maturity, but this was too much, and the result was a warped development. In his opinion, Itachi Uchiha was too naive, too extreme, and too arrogant. He thought he understood everything, knew everything, and could control everything. He thought everything he did was right and just. The Konoha leadership, masters of human psychology, had long seen through him and manipulated him without him realizing it. Would Konoha really have dared to destroy the Uchiha without Itachi Uchiha's help? No matter how suspicious the Konoha elders were, they couldn't produce concrete evidence that the Uchiha clan controlled the nine-tailed fox. The Sharingan was the symbol of the Uchiha, and the Uchiha were the prime suspects, but the Uchiha family had existed for thousands of years. Who could guarantee there weren't Uchiha descendants scattered throughout the ninja world? Without solid proof that Konoha's Uchiha were responsible, it couldn't be used as a legitimate excuse, daring to wipe out the ninja world's most powerful clan without evidence. What would the other clans in Konoha think? If you, the Konoha leadership, wipe out the Uchiha today without evidence, will you wipe us out tomorrow just as easily? That if Konoha's leaders dared to do that, Konoha would become fractured. Disintegration wouldn't be far behind. Even in feudal societies, when an entire family was sentenced to death, they weren't just executed. They were arrested, tried, and only after irrefutable evidence and a valid excuse was the sentence carried out. Any country that killed indiscriminately without reason was doomed. Once the rules and order collapsed, the leadership would face a violent backlash. Without the help of Itachi Uchiha, Konoha would have had to wait until the Uchiha clan actually seized power before moving to destroy them. But what was the Uchiha doing? They talked about seizing power, but kept delaying. They were scared of wolves and tigers. Their plans were vague, like a child's game. If the Uchiha clan's plan was secret, then all the top leaders in Konoha knew about it. If it wasn't, then most ninjas in Konoha knew, but none of the villagers did. To Uchiha Gen, the Uchiha clan was more like a loudmouthed group that lacked the drive to actually take control. They wanted to threaten to seize power to force Konoha's leadership to concede and change the way the Uchiha were being treated. They also wanted to break free from the police force and gain more power, without the excuse of internal clan issues. Even if the Uchiha clan remained under surveillance, it could still continue, albeit miserably. When Tsunade, Kakashi, and Naruto took power, things would slowly improve. If Itachi Uchiha hadn't sided with Konoha, Obito couldn't have destroyed the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha's downfall was a result of joint efforts. With the combined efforts of 3 factions and the surrender of Fugaku Uchiha, the Uchiha clan was wiped out silently. After the genocide, Itachi Uchiha calmed down and lived in pain. It wasn't until he experienced life and death and was resurrected during the Fourth War that he finally understood. Uchiha Itachi said to Sasuke, "It's okay if you don't forgive me. No matter what you become, I will love you deeply." The implication was that even if Sasuke didn't protect Konoha and destroyed it instead, he would still love him deeply. Screw the will of fire, screw the village, his brother was all that mattered. He didn't like Itachi before the resurrection and even hated him. He still didn't love the resurrected Itachi, but he didn't hate him as much. That was Gen Uchiha's humble opinion of the Uchiha clan and Uchiha Itachi. Thoughts raced through his mind, but Gen Uchiha remained calm. He smiled, waved goodbye to Itachi Uchiha, and followed Mikoto Uchiha to the reception room. Children were the most sensitive, especially kids like Itachi Uchiha. He couldn't show any malice. If he did, it would be harder to manipulate him later. Everyone became wary of those with ill intentions. Just a simple opinion, don't complain if you don't like it. Chapter 19 Image Transformation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom, boom, boom. Fugaku, Gen's here. Mikoto Uchiha knocked gently on the door, her voice soft. Send him in, a deep voice replied, full of authority. Thank you, Mikoto, Gen Uchiha said politely, opening the door and stepping inside. Mikoto smoothly closed the door behind him. Greetings, young clan leader, Gen Uchiha said, offering a slight bow. Fugaku Uchiha, with his short black hair and dark blue robe emblazoned with the Uchiha clan fan, sat waiting. He wore green Jonin armor over black trousers. No need to be so formal, have a seat. A hint of a smile softened Fugaku Uchiha's serious expression, his tone warm. Gen Uchiha knelt opposite him, his posture straight but his expression relaxed. Personally, Gen didn't enjoy kneeling. His old body wouldn't have lasted long like this. This body could handle it, but he still didn't like it. Just basic etiquette for a major clan, something he had to put up with. Have some tea. Fugaku Uchiha pushed a cup of tea forward. Gen Uchiha thanked him, picked it up, and took a sip. What do you think? I'm no tea expert, but I can say it's good. Huh, you're honest. Did you call me here for something specific? Nothing urgent. I just heard that another genius had appeared in the Uchiha clan after I returned, and I wanted to meet you. Fugaku Uchiha's eyes sharpened. I hear you're being considered as a student by Minato. Gen shook his head. Not exactly. I'm just temporarily assigned to Team 7. To become a full-fledged student, I'd need Minato-sensei and his teammates' approval. Well, do your best. Minato is a leading candidate for Hokage. Having an Uchiha as his student would improve your chances. Fugaku Uchiha encouraged him. If you need anything from the clan, just ask. Don't worry, I will. But just recognizing this standard is too weak, I don't know when it will be reached. But if you want Minato-sensei to accept an Uchiha as his disciple, I have a way. Oh. Tell me. Fugaku Uchiha raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Obito's Sharingan was given to Kakashi, right? Yes, I know. Many in the clan want it back. But it's complicated. Fugaku Uchiha sighed, feeling a headache coming on. No bloodline limit clan wanted their secret spread around, but this situation was tricky. Kakashi hadn't stolen the Sharingan, Obito had given it to him. Both were considered heroes of Konoha. Ignoring a hero's last wish would damage the Uchiha's reputation. Besides, Kakashi was the head of the Hatake clan and son of Konoha's White Fang, Hatake Tsukumo. The Uchiha and Tsukumo had been close. Bullying his son wouldn't sit well. Most importantly, Kakashi was a student of Minato, who was a student of Jiraiya, one of the Sannin, who was a student of the third Hokage. It was a powerful lineage. If they intervened, the Uchiha clan would be in a tight spot, facing endless problems. Not retrieving the Sharingan was a problem for the clan, hurting their standing. Young leader, getting the Sharingan back will be very difficult, for reasons you know as well as I do. So, why not leverage the Sharingan for other gains? They'll want to give the Uchiha clan a way out, right? What if the Uchiha recognized Obito's gift once Kakashi earns a certain rank, exchanging the Sharingan ownership for benefits? Fugaku Uchiha mused. You mean trading the Sharingan for an Uchiha clan member to become Minato's student? Gen Uchiha smiled slightly, his expression serious. Not necessarily me. Shisui, Itachi, anyone from the clan could do it. It's all for the family. Fugaku Uchiha was taken aback. He hadn't realized Gen was so selfless, willing to sacrifice the chance to become a Hokage's student. Such loyalty and intelligence deserved recognition. The possibility of his eldest son, Itachi, becoming Minato's student thrilled Fugaku. Gen wasn't as loyal to the Uchiha clan as Fugaku imagined, because he has a backup plan. Compared to Minato's approach, Gen was leaning toward the spare tire. Becoming Minato's student would benefit the family, but aligning with the backup plan would benefit him more personally. I see your dedication to the clan. Fugaku made a promise. Whoever becomes Minato's student, you'll lead the police force when I become clan leader. Fugaku Uchiha believed Itachi had a good chance. By accepting him, Minato would gain the Uchiha support, increasing his chances of becoming Hokage. The Uchiha clan leader and the head of the police force had always been the same person, so this wasn't an empty promise. Fugaku was already the deputy head of the police force, ready to take over when the current leader stepped down or passed away. Thank you, young leader, Gen Uchiha said gratefully, before changing the subject. But there are potential problems on the horizon. Minato-sensei isn't guaranteed to become Hokage. Orochimaru-sama, one of the three ninjas, is a formidable competitor. If Orochimaru-sama takes the lead, Minato-sensei's opportunity may pass him by. Jiraiya also became Hokage, but his personality made him the least popular of the three ninjas. Tsunade was a great choice, but because of Kato Dan and Naoki, Tsunade now has no interest in Naruto at all. Orochimaru was originally the sure next Hokage, but the sudden rise of Namikaze Minato became his biggest competitor. Today Orochimaru is still interested in the position of Hokage. Fugaku Uchiha's face grew serious, erasing his earlier joy. What if Orochimaru became Hokage? Backing the wrong side in a power struggle could have serious consequences. The Uchiha clan wouldn't be destroyed, but they would likely be suppressed, their progress stifled. Gen, what are you suggesting? After what he said just now, Uchiha Fugaku not only regarded Uchiha Gen as a genius with outstanding talents, but also a wise man who devoted himself to his family. Young leader, for a clan to stay strong, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You need multiple investments. It might not bring the biggest reward, but it's the safest approach. Our Uchiha clan has been around for centuries. We don't need to bet everything like a small family, hoping for rapid growth or fearing a quick decline. Supporting every Hokage candidate strengthens our position. Even if they know we're playing both sides, they can't easily refuse us. Because refusal means our clan will fully back their opponent, reducing their own chance of winning. Acceptance is the best option to maintain balance. Maybe someone will pay for more support. Fugaku Uchiha listened intently, his eyes brightening. He clapped his hands, laughing. Excellent. Wonderful. Chapter 20 Gradually Taller Image. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Edited content in the living room. Mikoto Uchiha was playing with Itachi. Hearing Fugaku's laughter, they exchanged surprised glances. To them, Fugaku was always dignified, steady, solemn, and unsmiling. What could have possibly happened to cause such a change? Mikoto and Itachi were instantly curious. Inside, Gen Uchiha smiled, a little puzzled by Fugaku's big reaction. Oh, right, there's no real history or civics education in Konoha, or even this whole world, so I guess that makes sense. Someone who knew something about history and politics in his past life was bound to stand out. History's a mirror, showing the ups and downs. Reading history makes you wise. No wonder these ninjas, who only studied how to complete missions, were so easily fooled by Konoha's self-taught politicians and lost their way. Basic education is definitely lacking. Strangely enough, this world doesn't have a systematic history. Only specialists know bits and pieces of the past. Could Heiju be behind this? By the way, Gen, Fugaku said, calming down, I have a question. We can use Minato getting the Sharingan as a chance to build a relationship, but what about Orochimaru? That without a good opportunity, how can we even talk about cooperation? And even if we did, the relationship would be too weak. Don't worry, sir, I've found an opening, Gen replied. From what I learned on the Kumogakure front, Orochimaru is obsessed with ninjutsu research. Research costs money, and the Uchiha clan isn't short on funds. We can use that to get closer to him. maybe even ask him to take an Uchiha clansman as a disciple in exchange for funding. That way, we'll have people close to both Hokage candidates. Whoever comes to power won't be able to treat us badly. Things will be better than they are now. What do you think? As the most powerful family, the Uchiha clan could play both sides. They had plenty of Jonin. And the Jonin vote is essential for becoming Hokage, plus, the Uchiha were recognized nobles with influence over the Land of Fire's daimyo, the Hyuga clan too, but few others. It's just that ninjas' political innocence and their childhood training make it hard for them to think of such shameless tactics. Fugaku considered this, then chuckled. Ha, very good, very good. In the living room, Mikoto and Itachi exchanged another look, then glanced back at the reception room. I didn't realize you'd planned so far ahead, Fugaku continued. The Uchiha clan has plenty of strong fighters, even geniuses. What we lack are talented people like you, Gen, who can think strategically and have political sense. You know how the clansmen are, it gives me a headache. The average Uchiha and those without the Sharingan were alright. But those who had unlocked the Sharingan were often fools. At best, they were arrogant, bitter, and two-faced. At worst, they were outright conceited and insufferable. They might be strong in combat, but their other IQs and EQ were low. They had no idea how the world worked and easily offended people. The former was better because they still had a heart, like Sasuke in the beginning. The latter was a nightmare to deal with. Their personalities were fixed. Trying to change them would be exhausting. Gen didn't want to discuss the clan's problems. He changed the subject. Sir, I have a request. Go ahead. If I don't become Minato's disciple, please recommend me to Orochimaru. Alright, that's reasonable. When it came to becoming a Hokage candidate's disciple, his own son came first, Gen was second, and Shisui was third. As for the rest of the clan, they wouldn't even be considered unless all three were rejected. Why recommend a second-rate ninja when you have good seedlings? It would be a waste. Thank you very much, sir. You've earned it. Stay for dinner tonight. Asterisk huh, star. It's only 2:30 p.m. Is it really dinner time already? Does he want me to stay and keep talking? Damn, today's my day off. I need to start training hard tomorrow. Okay, I'd be happy to. Fugaku was inviting him for the first time. He couldn't refuse, so Gen spent the afternoon with Fugaku. Luckily, they didn't just sit in the reception room the whole time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to handle it. Mikoto's cooking was alright, but not as good as his own. After Gen went home, Mikoto, her curiosity bubbling over, asked Fugaku about the afternoon. She usually wouldn't pry, but Fugaku's unusual behavior made her wonder. Fugaku told her everything. He didn't hide anything from his wife, who helped him. Mikoto's eyes widened. The 13-year-old came up with all that? He's truly a man for all seasons. From then on, Fugaku and Mikoto would often bring up Gen in front of Itachi, telling him to learn from Gen. Over time, Gen became that kid and a powerful figure in Itachi's mind. To set Gen's plan in motion, Fugaku wrote to his father on the Kirigakure front. After receiving the letter, the Uchiha patriarch agreed with Gen's idea, telling Fugaku to focus on training him. He also found a reason to send Shisui back to Konoha, just in case. If one of the two fails, Shisui can take over. Wouldn't be good if no one was available. After Shisui returned, Fugaku had Mikoto invite Kushina and Minato over for dinner. Mikoto and Kushina were close friends. With Mikoto inviting them, it wouldn't be conspicuous or easily refused. Minato accepted and went to dinner with Kushina. In front of Minato, Fugaku wasn't as majestic or solemn as he was with his family. He was kind, gentle, and seemed like a different person. This wasn't just respect for Minato's position as a Hokage candidate. It was respect for Minato's strength. In the ninja world, the strong are respected, so don't believe any nonsense about "that's just how I am." Whether you're a man or a woman, your personality depends on who you're with. If someone you're dating says they have that kind of personality, run as fast as you can. After dinner, Mikoto and Itachi walked and talked with Kushina. Fugaku took Minato to the reception room for tea, waiting for the right moment to bring up the topic of the Sharingan in Kakashi's eye. It turned out Minato wanted to discuss the same thing. Both had the same idea. But it wasn't clear whether they'd come to a satisfactory agreement.